Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, we're just going to do another velocity banking review. So, what is velocity banking? All it is a debt payoff strategy where you throw all of your money into debt with the help of something called a line of credit. And in this scenario, we have a mortgage at $350,000. And why am I highlighting this? It's because did you know that 90% of people in this country can't get a mortgage? So if you have a mortgage or you are even able to buy a home, you're better off than most people, believe it or not, right? And I was reading this article on financialsamurai.com. This is from 2024, but I still think it's relevant. And it says that getting a mortgage nowadays is extremely difficult, extremely. And that's why a lot of times when people talk about like velocity banking, oh, pay off the mortgage, right? If you just have a mortgage, you're in a pretty strong financial position because when you qualified, as long as you didn't lie to the bank, because some people try to do that, as long as you qualify and didn't lie to the bank, you have pretty much, in my mind, from doing all of these scenarios, the finances you need to be able to pay off your debt relatively quickly. Sometimes the worst decision that you probably made was that you overpaid for a home, and if you did that, then you just simply sell the home and then look for a discounted one, and you might be like, "What are you talking about, discounted home?" Kind of like this. I bought this one at 2022 peak of the market, $100,000 discount. I eventually want to get to a point where if I buy a $300,000 home, I want to buy it for 100K. That would be pretty sweet. But yeah, discounted price. So, if you were buying a home that greatly appreciated, and a lot of people did that in the 2020s, right? This decade, then it's very easy to be broke from overpaying for homes. But what it means is that you actually have a good income. You do. And yeah, and believe it or not, today's Friday. So it's just a nice way to relax, pay off debt, and free up your cash flow. That's how I like to spend my Fridays. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first step of velocity banking is that you just need to write your budget, right? Income, expenses, leftover savings, and then you have to list every single debt that you have. So two credit cards, auto loan, student loan, mortgage, and then anything that's not a debt you list right here, right? So we're gonna assume we have $2,500 of expenses. And you've been in a grocery store lately? Like every time I go, I was like, how did I spend like 80 bucks? Like I just bought like maybe a bag of potatoes. No, actually that didn't happen. But it kind of feels like that though. And so we're gonna assume we have $2,500 for our non-debt expenses, expenses we always have to pay for, right? So food, gas, insurance, all that other stuff. And then what we're going to do is we're going to assume we have the same income, same expenses, and our whole goal is to get rid of the debt, right? But unlike this person right here, who may be ashamed to have $467 of savings because we make $7,000 a month, we're going to deliberately not save money. Saving money is kind of banned here, right? And what we're going to do is increase our cash flow, which is kind of the amount that we're going to reduce our debt by on average month to month. And once we increase our cash flow, we're just going to use it to pay off our debt. And so the one that we start off with is usually the credit card. So in this example, I think this is 25, 26, what, $51,000 of credit cards? 51,000. Okay, so let's go ahead and ooh, I just sneezed. $51,000 of credit cards. And guess what happens when we move this $51,000 in credit cards into something called a line of credit, right? And so what happens is that this goes to zero and this goes to zero, right? And then we increase our cash flow by an insane amount, right? From $467 to $2,231. And so, first of all, I kind of skipped, but what is a line of credit? All it is a financial tool where you could borrow money and then use it, pay it back, and then use it over and over again. So this is my $280,000, what we call a home equity line of credit, right? So because I own a home and I actually have it paid off in 2 years and 9 months, I can reuse them funds. Like the bank is kind of like saying, hey, you kind of get a credit card because you own a home, right? So if you have something called equity, they'll lend you a percentage of that and charge you like a 7.5% or 8% interest rate. And so that's what a line of credit is. And we're going to assume we have a $60,000 line of credit available to us. A credit card is technically a line of credit, but unlike a credit card where you're restricted, you have some restrictions what you can pay for, right? I can't pay for, it's very hard to pay loans with credit cards, although you can do it, right? But it's very hard, okay? But if you use a line of credit, you can use it to pay for everything because you're literally going into the bank's website, clicking a button, right? You click a button, and then cash gets dumped into your checking account. And where'd it go? Yeah. Yeah. Click a button, cash gets dumped into the checking account. All right. So let's let's kind of go back here to the Velocity Banking spreadsheet. So in this example, we're going to have assume we have a $60,000 line of credit available. My biggest personal line of credit is only 15 grand, but I got like three of them or two of them. Do I have three or two 15 grand lines of credit? I don't even know. I just know that in total I have 687,000. I think it's 687,000. Or is it 500? No, it's probably 500. See, I can't even remember anymore because I got so much that. And here's a secret to getting lines of credit. It's kind of, there's a hint right here where it's like extremely difficult to get a mortgage. Banks don't lend money to people who need it. And if you understand that concept and principle, then you'll be easily able to get a lines of credit. The problem is that most people wait until the last minute to try to get the lines of credit. And you kind of have to think of the line of credit as like kind of like insurance, right? So if I go ahead and don't get car insurance and then I crash a car, is it going to be really difficult for me to get car insurance? Absolutely. You got to get the car insurance before you crash the car. Same thing with the line of credit. You got to get the line of credit before you need the credit. Okay, that's how banks work, right? But too many people, it's like, let me crash the car. Oh, let me try to get car insurance afterwards. You know what I mean? Like that's how they work when it comes to banking. But your banks don't lend money to people who need it. So just remember that. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Take the next month's balance, take the previous month's balance minus their cash flow, 2231.26. And then now I'm going to take the average daily balance, right? That's how we get the that's how the line of calculate, I'm sorry, line of credit interest is calculated. And then what you do is you multiply the interest rate and then you divide by 12. Bam, right? And that's how much you pay for. And then you just copy and paste and then hold shift and then do control C, control V. And all right, try to do this on the last video on Excel version 1.1 on the Macintosh emulator, and I couldn't I couldn't really get it to work. You can't do copy and paste for multiple cells in Excel version 1.0 back in 1985, but you could do some, and you could do like 80% of this work, which is good to know. All right, so now we paid off the debt that people fear the most, which is credit cards. Now we tackle the auto loan, we tackle the student, and we tackle the mortgage. Folks, I don't know about you, but there's only so many situations in Velocity Banking because it's either you pay off a loan or a line of credit, right? A credit card's a line of credit. We start off with the highest interest rate credit cards first, usually, and also the high interest rate loans, which are usually short term, like the buy now, pay laters, right? And luckily, I have this loan calculator here. And what milestone is this? How long did it take for us to pay off the debt? Oh, 25 months. All right, it's pretty sweet. So 25 months to pay off our two credit cards. All right, 25 months, and that's gonna be 51K. All right. So now I'm just going to do this. So we have this fantastic loan calculator where I just put in the current month and it tells me what the balance is. Now, here's the thing, a lot of people, when it comes to paying off debt, are only focused on the interest rate. Okay. Now, there's actually three factors that determine the payment amount of your loan, which is the original balance, the interest rate, and the term. And we don't always focus just on the interest rate. Okay. The reason why we might want to focus on this 4% interest rate is that if we move this into the line of credit, we're going to get $386 back in our cash flow. Whereas we focus on this one, we're only going to get 400. So that's basically what this cash flow index means. And what we're going to do is just move this into the line of credit. I'm going to go ahead and do this and do this and then do control V values, and then just going to be plus 12756.33, right? We're going to move that loan into the line of credit, which is the auto loan. So I'm going to do this, and then I am going to copy and paste our new cash flow, which increased by 300 and something dollars. And let's go ahead and do this. So it's going to be 261801. And then now let's see, we can easily get rid of the loan, right? Look at that. Look, people freak out. Oh my goodness, 8% loan, but look how little interest we paid for each month on using that line of credit. Isn't that crazy? So, all right, so now let's go here, and then this is going to be 0, and then now we're at month 30, right? So now this is 30, 30, right? And so now what we're going to do, okay, is we're going to go to 30 months. And how much do we pay off? 51 plus 21, 51 plus 21. And then this is going to be 72K. And then I'm just going to do this right here. We're at month 30. Okay. So now these are the loans we have, which is the student and the mortgage, right? All the situations are the same. Like auto loans, you usually pay off first because they have the shortest time frame, 5 to 7. Student loans are usually like 8 to 10, or sometimes even 20. And then mortgages are usually 30 years, unless you're doing the Dave Ramsey plan of 15 years. And if I just do this, well, blam, it doubles the payment. All right. So let's go ahead and pay this off. Now, I'm okay moving this loan into the line of credit because the interest rate is similar. The interest rate does matter. So here's my like general rule of thumb. The higher this cash flow index number is, and all it is a formula of the balance divided by the payment, and there's a huge interest rate difference between the loan and the line of credit, you don't want to move the entire thing into loan and line of credit. Okay. So let me just go ahead and move this here, this student loan, into the line of credit. And I am going to move it right here. Control paste. And then this is going to be plus 28391.42. All right, so 28391.42. And then this is going to be 0. And then now our cash flow is at $3,000. $3,000. Beautiful. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. And then this is going to be, all right, whoopsie. All right, so minus 3024.39. And then I'm going to do this. And we see that in 40 months, it's been completely paid off. All right. So have you ever heard of someone paying off their student loan in 10 months? Oh my goodness. All right. So now it's 72 plus 35, which is 107K. 107K. All right. So now at 40 months, 0. All right. So at 40 months, we have a $350,000 mortgage. Okay. Now, here's the big mistake that people make when it comes to real estate. You got to get it at a discount, especially if it's an investment property, right? So let me just kind of show you here again. Rule of thumb, if you buy a 350,000 property, you want to buy it for 250 or 200, right? If you have a $100,000 property, you want to buy it for 30, right? Like, you know, got to get probably at least $100,000 discount in order for your purchase property or your purchase to make sense. But too many people are like, oh my goodness, I got to buy a home. And they equate home ownership with wealth when it's actually the other way around. It's because you are wealthy, you can buy a home. And if you can't afford it at that price, then you got to get it at a discount, right? But I think we can afford it, right? So here we got $3,000 in our cash flow, and we can pay it one of two ways. We just directly overpay, and directly overpaying is a viable option, but most people can't do that because they feel like they need savings. And also, when you dump in money into a loan, what happens is that it's hard to get back, right? And so the thing that people tend to do is like, oh, well, okay, maybe I paid the entire 3,000 into the loan. Let me use my credit cards as backup, and then you start to get into the problem of segregating your income, which I need to do a video on. I haven't done that in a while. Again, and this is how you got here in the first place. Okay, so again, one easy way that you can just pay it off is by simply moving a piece of the loan into the line of credit. So let's just do like $7,000. We're just going to overpay the loan by $7,000, move it into our line of credit plus 7000. Okay. And then we'll see how long it takes to pay it off. Oh, 2 months to pay off 7,000. And the reason I like doing this is because it makes me not think. Like if I have to do the default strategy of overpaying with my savings and then, figuring out like how, like, oh man, I overpaid, and then kind of budgeting rather than just dumping all my money into the mortgage, it's going to cause me a lot of stress. That's why, yeah, I recommend both. Either one is fine. A lot of people are like, well, you don't have to use an 8% loan, a line of credit to pay off a 3% mortgage. And you don't. You don't. Like I've done scenarios where it's like if it was a 0% mortgage and you're using an 8% line of credit and doing this strategy, how much would you overpay? Usually it's like depending on your cash flow, 1,200 or $2,000, right? So it's like, okay, maybe there might be situations if the interest rate difference is large enough, you might be overpaying, but for the average person, it's gonna actually help them get to their goals. Hopefully that makes sense. And if not, then you can just skip this part. All right, so let's go ahead and use the Velocity Banking Calculator where we just type in the details, right? And $7,000 of income, 2,500 in expenses, and all we gotta do is fill it in, which is 350,000. What's the current balance? It is 324,766.28. 324,766.28. And no, it's 26. My goodness. Okay. And then the payment amount is 1475.61. 1475.61. And then what's the chunk amount? It's just how much are you moving into the line of credit? So I warned you that if I move the whole thing into the line of credit, look at this. Oh my goodness. Some of you might be like, I love that I saved 24 grand, right? And I paid off not in 30, but in 8.3 years. Well, I technically not 30 because this is a starting point. But let's go ahead and do a $6,000 or $7,000 chunk, just a small amount. And then wablam, you went from literally 6.7 to 35,000. Woo, big difference there, isn't it? All right. That's why you don't get a first lien HELOC and you don't move your mortgage into a line of credit, right? For the most part, especially you got a low interest rate mortgage. All right, so 6.7 years, and let's go ahead and do this and just add this right here. And so this is 0, and then this is 40 divided by 12 plus 6.7, and then 10 years until we are debt free. Okay. Ever hear those like Velocity Banking advertisements where it's like pay off your mortgage in I don't know 5 to 10 years? Well, in most of the ones that I've done, it's been 4, but this one is 6.7. 6.7. But at least we got rid of all of our debt in 10, right? All of it in 10. But I wonder if some of you can beat me, and I'm pretty sure there are people out there who are beating me, right? I know a person who's on track to pay off a mortgage in like 1.2 years after being in the right optimal position to do the strategy. And for me, I paid off my mortgage in 2 years and 9 months. 2 years and 9 months. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Well, that's it for today, folks. So this is Korean Atlanta Mentorship, just another beautiful Friday where we pay off the debt. And look at this. We almost got 4,000 subs. You know what's funny? I made a video like a couple days ago. It's like, we're almost reaching 4,000 subs. And somebody actually unsubscribed from that video. Actually, let me take a look and see if it's there. I was like, we're on to, yeah, this one right here. Let me take a look. Velocity Banking road to 4,000 subs. And then somebody unsubscribed. I was like, dang. It's okay. It's all about the net output, not just one specific subscriber, but we will get to 4,000. So shout outs to the 4,000 crew because I don't even know why, but I'm excited. I feel like 4,000 or possibly 5,000, there's going to be a tipping point. I just don't know when. So I'm curious, right? Like, I'm curious because a lot of you told me this channel is going to blow up. And I'm like, all right, we'll see when we get there, right? Okay, well, shouts to all of you, and I'll see you all in the next video. Happy Friday.